Lincoln Riley said his team's ready to hit somebody else. I'm ready for USC's football team to hit somebody also.
You are Locked On Trojans, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Holkin, and thank you for making Locked On USC part of the Locked On Network, your first listen every day. Whether you're watching this show on YouTube, wherever you want to download your podcast, this show is always free. This show always appreciates your support. And if you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification button. That way you're not going to miss an episode, and you're going to continue to help this show grow. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers, you can get $5. You're going to get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. All right. The first Trojans Live radio show of the fall. It happened. Host Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler. They had Lincoln Riley on the set. Jordan opened the show with, "Hey, Coach, how was your summer? How's fall camp been going?" Coach Riley said, "It's been good, but we're ready to hit someone else." And I thought to myself, you know what, Coach? Me too. I want to see USC hit LSU. I enjoy going to practice. I'm done. I'm not having any more fun watching practice. I want to see a real game. I want to see USC and LSU start hitting each other. And you know what? In a few days, we're all going to be able to see that happen, thankfully. I mean, knocking on wood. My everydayers, you saw it. If you didn't catch the show yesterday, we had a really good episode of Locked On USC. It was a crossover. Matt Moscona from Locked On USC, he and myself, we talked about the matchup, what the fans can look forward to. Really good show. If you missed it, when you're done with this episode, go check it out. You will not be disappointed. So now that we know what the pundits think, I thought maybe you'd like to know what Coach Brian Kelly thinks, what he sees happening in this game as it plays out. Guess what? I've got some notes for you, got some quotes. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give you my interpretation. When it comes to defending USC's offense, Coach Kelly, he kind of scared because he kept bringing up Zachariah Branch. He should. Good player. Zachariah can hurt you at wide receiver. He can line up all over the field. He can hurt you on special teams. And that's what Coach Kelly has been focused on is how do we corral that guy, that human joystick we call Zachariah Branch. This is what he said. If USC is balanced offensively, they are very difficult to defend. We've got to limit some of their big plays. Certainly, Zachariah Branch is an electrifying offensive player. We've got to be able to tackle him, not only offensively, but on special teams. From a tactical standpoint, limiting his ability to field the football, we certainly want to stress their returns by not kicking it straight down the middle of the field. That's probably a good idea. I think everyone would agree with Coach Kelly on that. I think everyone should probably anticipate big plays from both sides. Okay, not just USC. They've got a pretty prolific offense. They'll put points up on the board as well. You've got two new defenses, right? First game, stuff happens. I anticipate USC making some mistakes on defense. I anticipate LSU doing the same. Both programs brought in new defensive coordinators. We've been talking about this. Now, as far as one special teams advantage for USC, Coach Kelly alluded to it. If LSU makes a mistake, you got Zachariah Branch. He's lightning in a bottle. He can strike like that. So let's say, they make a real concerted effort to kick the ball away from Zachariah. They should. On punting, there's a good chance that the ball gets shanked. Now all of a sudden, the ball goes out of bounds. USC has a short field maybe. On kickoff, same thing. You're trying to kick it away from them, not straight down the middle of the field. It's a good chance you can kick it out of bounds. USC will start at the 35. They'll take that. Coach Kelly also said, look, we got to figure it out. They've actually been working out two punters during the fall. So, look, Zachariah Branch is at the top of their game plan on guys to stop. So he brought up Zachariah. He also mentioned USC being balanced on offense. Well, guess what? So have I. Been talking about it all off season. I've been screaming USC needs to establish a running game. LSU's head coach, Brian Kelly, said, look, if they can spread you out and they can get numbers, they're still going to run the football as well. It's not just throw it all over the place. You know, people think that Lincoln Riley runs an air raid type of system. Well, he comes from the Mike Leach tree of offensive schemes. But Coach Riley does like to run the ball. He just doesn't do it enough, in my opinion. For whatever reason, it doesn't happen enough. I want to remind everybody, USC has not had a 1,000-yard rusher since Ronald Jones, 2017. That has to change this season, period. End of story. Now, what makes Riley's offense so difficult to defend, and this is what Coach Kelly was alluding to, again, you spread them out, you're thinking, all right, they're going to throw the ball. Not the case. You've got guys lining up in the backfield like Woody Marks. So, you know, while everyone is focused on the wide receivers, you got somebody coming out of the backfield that can catch the ball, who can run the ball. That's what makes Coach Riley's offense so difficult to defend. Now, just like USC, LSU has some question marks up front on their defensive line. They're starting I don't know if they're starting a couple of new defensive tackles. A couple of new defensive tackles are going to be getting a lot of playing time compared to what they had there last year. So while everyone is focused on USC's bad defense, for good reason, they earned that moniker. You guys should consider this. USC's not going to get pushed around, right? Even Coach Kelly kind of saw this. One of the biggest things that Lincoln Riley focused on, what he emphasized, what he and the staff have been really emphasizing since the end of the Holiday Bowl, getting the team bigger, getting them stronger, making them look like they belong on the same field with a Big Ten team conference, you know, with the Big Ten teams, with the SEC teams out of the box are playing LSU, right? I've mentioned it. I'll say it again. You know, they gained 1,400 pounds since the spring, collectively as a team, but still, they're pounding on the calories. They're getting bigger, stronger. They want to look the part. So these are here's your confirmation from Brian Kelly's trained eyes, right? This is what he said. You're going to get outstanding skilled position players on the field. You're going to get players on both sides of the ball that, to the naked eye, you're going to say, that looks like an SEC player. That looks like a guy who would be playing in the SEC. And that's what we're going to get on Sunday. So look, LSU is going to see a bigger and stronger USC. Both sides of the ball. I think USC is going to be good on offense. And so while Zachariah is the focus, you did not hear Brian Kelly mention the names Deuce Robinson, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Lane. Those are the four core guys in the wide receiver group. You still got Kyle Ford. You still got Kyron Hudson. You still got Jaden Richardson. You still have Jay Fair. You have the freshman Xavier Jordan. Josiah Zamora, I am not afraid to put him on the field. There are plenty of options in USC's wide receiver group. And what I'm getting at is Brian Kelly's defense, they don't have the luxury, so to speak, of double teaming any wide receiver. You can't cheat to one wide receiver. You can't cheat to one side. They're going to have to play true. As Coach Kelly mentioned, when USC spreads you out, Coach Riley still likes to run the ball. In his history, he has shown he will run the ball, even when you got four wide. Woody Marks out of the backfield is a threat. And don't forget, he's got some experience going up against LSU. I'm not quite ready yet to come out and make a final score prediction. We've got a lot of time. We've got a little bit of time left this week, not a lot of time. I'll get to that. I promise you. You will know what my final score prediction will be before the game kicks off. But I do think this is going to probably end up on the over. Whatever the Vegas line has said is the over-under. I think this goes over. It's in the 60s, I believe, low 60s. Now, New defenses playing against offenses that can score. That rings true for both teams, USC and LSU. That's why I'm thinking it's going to go over. So whichever team wins the battle of the red zone, they're going to win the game. This is where I think USC has the advantage over LSU. I'm not saying that LSU has bad wide receivers. Never came close to saying that. But there are question marks with LSU secondary this year, which is also a little interesting. That's usually one of their strengths. But USC has the advantage in the red zone with their wide receivers versus LSU secondary. You have Deuce Robinson, Jacoby Lane. Deuce Robinson, 6'6", 225 pounds, monster. Jacoby Lane, 6'4", arms that when he puts them out, they don't stop. 48-inch vertical. That's hard to defend when you're inside a phone booth. And that's kind of what the red zone is. If USC gets those favorable one-on-one matchups, just throw it up. Let your players make a play. Let them go get the ball. So again, the team that forces more field goal attempts and touchdowns, they're going to win the game. That's going to be the winner of this game. I know, hot take, right? Sounds simple, a little bit cliche, but USC and LSU they're both coming off seasons where, look, everyone watched their scoring defenses. They were taken behind the woodshed last year, LSU and USC. USC gave up 59 touchdowns, 12 field goals on the season. And LSU, while it wasn't great, they were better than USC. They only allowed 47 touchdowns and 11 field goals. But that one touchdown per game, that makes a difference. That's really what it averages out to. Over a 12-game season, USC's defense gave up one more touchdown per game than LSU's. LSU went 10-2 or 10-3, I think was their record, right? USC 8-5. I like USC's chances if they're holding teams to 28 points or less in a game. So, USC, can you remove one touchdown? Can you be one touchdown better than you were last year on defense? If you can, I like USC's chances in this game. I really do. You know what else I like? I'm a big fan of having an energy boost. We all have rough days. Mondays are rough. Middle of the week, whatever time of the week. After lunch, yeah, you know what? You kind of get tired. I do. I kind of get run down a little bit. You're not alone. Research shows 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let 5-hour energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. Let a 5-hour, you need to get your 5-hour energies. It has 0 sugar. It comes in a convenient, portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. How's that? Here's what you got to do. Go to the website. The 5-hour energy website has flavors galore. You like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry? They got more flavors than just that. They got a flavor for everyone. Go check it out. And when you're on the site, you even have the option to build your own 12-pack. Build your own 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it's delivered right to your door. All you have to do is go to 5hourenergy.com. That is the number 5, hourenergy.com, and get some 5-hour energy product today. And if you use my promo code LOCKEDONUSC, you'll get to receive 20% off your order. Use your energy now. This offer is only valid until September 30th, and it's on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. I think LSU is going to play with a ton of urgency in this game. USC is too. The difference between USC and LSU, USC hasn't lost their last 2 opening games. LSU under Brian Kelly has. What happens when you open up with strong games against good opponents? Last year, LSU lost to Florida State. Last year, USC didn't open up with a Florida State. Look, LSU is returning a veteran squad on both sides of the ball, especially along the offensive line. Look, my everydayers have heard me talk about this ad nauseum, right? If USC is going to win this game, what's the one position group that has to play well? Say it with me. USC's defensive line. Absolutely. I think if the defensive line, if they put up a significant fight against what I think is probably one of the best offensive lines in the country, they'll be okay. What USC cannot let happen, they cannot, LSU's offensive line, just lean into the running game, right? You cannot allow those guys to run between the tackles all game long. They can't pick up yards up the middle. That will kill USC. If USC's defensive line, if they can be stout in the middle, kind of force everything to the outside, that's going to allow USC's defenders to pursue to the ball. Use that speed, use that athleticism, use that aggressiveness that Anton-Lynn's scheme likes to utilize. And absolutely, the defensive line, they cannot, let me repeat that, they cannot allow LSU's quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, to just sit back there in the pocket and have as much time as he wants to complete a pass. That happened way too frequently against USC last season. Somehow, some way, some or another, they are going to have to create pressure up front with 4 guys, maybe 5. You shouldn't have to do it with more than that, though. Yeah, and occasionally, you're going to blitz, you're going to get exotic, you're going to do some special stuff. I don't think anybody's expecting or anticipating USC's defensive line to dominate LSU by any stretch of the imagination. Not dominate. However, I do think they can have a good time. I think they can make plays. Last year, what was it? USC gave up 190 yards rushing or more. 190 yards or more in 9 games. That's terrible. You only have a 12-game season. And they had 5 games where they gave up, where they actually had a 5-game run. 5 games in a row where the defense just recorded 2 sacks total. I'm pretty good at math, but I know that's well below 1 per game when you got 2 and 5. Yeah, we're into negative integers. That's where you are with that average. USC's defensive line just has to make themselves useful. They have to be productive. Again, don't get pushed around. Pretend like you belong on the field. Allow the linebackers, allow the guys in the secondary. Let them make plays. You do your job up front, let the guys behind you do their job. Because if the defensive line does their job, USC secondary, it's already good enough to be on an island by themselves. But now, all of a sudden, if you're getting pressure up front, that USC secondary is going to get even better. We know they're deep. We know they're long. We know they're big, tall. DeCarlos Nicholson, the ball could be 5 yards over his head. He's not out of the play. You got Jacoby Covington at a corner. You got Jalen Smith at corner. You got John Humphrey at corner. All 4 of those guys play a little bit of a different style. You got Achille Arnold. You got Kamari Ramsey. You got Zion Branch. I mean, you got Bryson Shaw. I know I'm forgetting a name right now, and I apologize. I'm a little fired up. USC secondary is a strength of this defense. Make no mistake about it. Anthony Beavers, I think, is going to play a significant role this year. Look for him in that. It's going to be a hybrid nickel weak side linebacker type of role. He's good enough that he can run downfield, but he's big enough that he can line up against a linebacker, or excuse me, a tight end. He'd be really strong at run support, really solid tackler. Coach Brian Kelly said that, he has to prepare for a USC defense that's an unknown. Quote, obviously prepare for a defense that we're really not certain about because they have so many new players on defense. We know the structure. He was referring to watching UCLA tape. We know that from a defensive standpoint, they bring a lot of talented players. Bill Alexander, Kamari Ramsey. A lot of these guys are coming in as heralded transfers that will certainly impact their defense. Close quote. There's more than just those guys. Okay, you got Easton Mascarenas Arnold, middle linebacker. I mentioned John Humphrey. I mentioned Achille Arnold, Easton's brother. This is what we need to see from USC's defense. If we see USC surprise, if we can see USC's defense surprise LSU up front, kind of like what Georgia Tech did to Florida State. Did you watch that game 0 week on Saturday? Great game. Fun game. I mean, it wasn't great from the standpoint of, people weren't making mistakes. It was fun to watch. It was a great game because an underdog who nobody gave a chance to beat FSU because LSU was going to control the trenches, both sides of the ball. Not so fast, my friend. During the offseason, Georgia Tech did what USC did what LSU did. They went out and hired a new defensive coordinator. So they brought in Tyler Santucci from Duke. Duke led the ACC they had the top scoring defense in 2023. Coach Riley is looking for the same thing at USC after he hired away Antonlynn from UCLA. Last season, UCLA had one of the best defenses in the country. I think it was 11th best overall. They had the number 2 run defense in the country. If Coach Lynn can get USC's defense to play with the same confidence, that same level that Santucci had Georgia Tech playing with, guess what? The Trojans in 2024, they're going to be a really dangerous team. The Tigers' offensive line, look, we know it. They're big. They're strong. Everyone thinks they're going to eventually wear down I'm using finger quotes, a smaller Trojans defensive line. It's not the case. Everyone thought Florida State was going to do the same thing to Georgia Tech. Surprise! USC's defensive line has to step up. If they don't, USC doesn't have a chance to win this game. I'll be the first to admit it. But I also think a lot of people are underestimating the impact that Coach Lynn and the defensive staff are having on this team. My everydayers have heard me talk about this. I mentioned last week, Eric Gentry. He said that he feels like he's finally learning how to play football. Mason Cobb, he's made similar comments. Jamil Muhammad said this last week. We've just been playing with so much cohesion. We're so prepared. I feel like as of right now, I think this team is probably closer than maybe we were towards the end of last year. And that's saying something, being that we have a lot of new guys coming in. It's a telling statement. Brian Kelly's concern is the unknown. He doesn't know what to anticipate from USC. You know what? That's my concern too. I don't know what to anticipate from USC on defense. I have a good idea what we're going to get on offense. It's on the other side of the ball. However, if USC can just improve on what you were last year, give that same effort that you saw from Georgia Tech, I think USC is going to be okay in this game. It's going to be a close game, don't get me wrong. But I think they'll be okay. Hey, Locked On USC fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love. It's called Ultimate College Football Head Coach. It's this really cool game. It lets you step into the shoes of a head coach, lead your team to glory. Imagine you're Lincoln Riley, or you want to go old school. You want to be Pete Carroll. You want to be John McKay. You want to be the head coach of the Trojans. You can do that with this game. From recruiting players, hiring your coaching staff, overseeing training camps, handing out scholarships. You control every crucial detail of your program, and it's all in your hands. And the only question you have to ask yourself, can you handle the pressure? Ultimate College Football Head Coach is completely free, no ads, 100% ad-free, and you can also play it offline. You can play it on the go as you want, whenever you want. And of course, we have a special offer for you for if you're a member of Locked On USC. Use the promo code Locked On CFB, all capital letters. That's Locked On C, F like Frank, B like boy. That's ultimate-cfb.com, or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football Head Coach. Begin your legacy today. It's summertime. It also means it's barbecue season. Stock up on all of your grilling favorites. And you can earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. It's a strange name. It's not a strange idea. Now you won't have to choose between getting those hamburgers or getting those hot dogs. You can get both when you use Ibotta. Ibotta is a free app that lets you earn cash back every time you shop. And the average Ibotta user, they're going to earn $256 per year. That's going to cover a lot of hot dogs and a lot of hamburgers for you. You've been maybe trying to save up for a fancy dinner? Ibotta can help you get there. Other apps, they're going to give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, put it on a gift card. Simply add the offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, money is going to show up for you. And did you know you can save on over 2,400 different brands, and you can shop at over 1,000 different retailers? That's how cool this product is. It's time you joined over 50 million users who use Ibotta, and you can start earning cash back every time you shop. Right now, Ibotta is offering Locked On USC listeners $5 just for trying Ibotta by using code Locked On College. Just register. Use Locked On College. Just go to the App Store or the Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back and use code Locked On College. That's I, B like boy, O-T-T-A in the Google Play Store or App Store, and use code Locked On College. All right, so let's just do some quick Q&A here. As you know, every week I'm over there on the Inside the Trojan Huddle, part of the We RSC network. Well, not network, the WeRSC.com website. That's where I do all of my writing. Also do some podcast shows over there. Well, we're going to be doing a story that's going to come out later this week over there on WeRSC.com. And we were asked these questions. It's kind of a roundtable discussion. So I'm going to go through the questions we were asked, and I'm going to give you my answers. Tell me if you agree or disagree. The first question, which Trojan will score the most touchdowns this season? I'm going to surprise somebody with my answer here. I'm going to go with Woody Marks, running back. I think he will have the most touchdowns on the team. Which USC player will lead the team in receptions? This one's a really tough one to answer. I'm going to go with Deuce Robinson. I'm a huge Jacoby Lane fan. Big Zachariah Branch, big Mekhi Lemon. I think Deuce edges out Jacoby. Which position group will make the biggest jump between how we feel about the team right now and how they play later in the season? Easy answer. Defensive line. Defensive line. Defensive line. And then second place right behind them, offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Everybody else, get in line. Those two. Defensive line first, though. Well, this one was fun. What will Miller Moss's regular season touchdown to interception ratio be? I got Miller going 35-5. You agree? Disagree? You think Miller's going to throw more or less? On both sides. Let me know. Who will lead the Trojans in sacks? A lot of candidates for this one. And I know he's been catching a lot of heat, but he's also been talked up a lot. I think Anthony Lucas is finally going to break out and live up to that 5-star reputation. We'll see. But I'm going to put my money on Anthony Lucas. USC's most important offensive and defensive players, not named Jonah Monheim or Bear Alexander. All right, here's my list. Elijah Page, Mason Murphy, and the rush edge position. I don't care who is there. Whomever is playing that rush edge, you got to be able to be as productive as UCLA was at that position last year. I don't care who it is, whether it's Braylon Shelby, whether it's Jamil Muhammad. I don't care. whether it's Anthony or Lucas. I don't care. Elijah Page, Mason Murphy, bookends, offensive tackles, enough said. USC's final defensive points per games allowed national ranking will be, well, last year, USC had the 121st best scoring defense in the country. There's only 133 teams. So, best, worst, doesn't matter. They sucked. They gave up an average of 34.5 points per game. I'm going to say cut that number in half, not 34.5. They're not going to get that good. But let's go from 121st worst to the 61st best scoring defense in the country. If USC jumps to that number, that means, according to 2023, they will only be giving up 26 points per game. I like where USC is going to finish at the end of the game if they're only giving up 26 points per game. That's a full touchdown and a 2-point conversion better than what they were doing last year. And again, that puts them in the middle of the pack, 61st best. USC's toughest game in 2024. Easy for me. Game 1, LSU. I've explained why enough. And then USC's final regular season record will be 10-2. I've told you this before. I think USC finishes 10-2. I think they make it to the playoffs. All right. There's another episode of Locked on USC in the books. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. It's what we do around here 5 times a week. I don't know. We'll see if there's any recruiting information coming along. We're going to be one day closer to USC versus LSU. We're going to be talking about that all week. So until the next episode, everyone, you know what to do.